How's it going, Steve?
How we doing, Jeff?
Good.
So, how'd you fare last week?
I was awful.
Yeah,
Awful.
we didn't do as hot on the cash lineups. Bobby had a pretty strong 333 lineup, so that was good. He made a four-figure week there, which is nice. But
Yeah.
other than that, I mean, I had a couple sixes get through in the millie, but again, if you're not perfect, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. You get $40 for your trouble.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys that we were on, we did really well. I mean, Tyrell Hatton, and he was the guy that we were all over. That he got the job done for us at that lower price point. So
Yeah.
that was probably one of the more exciting things. I mean, Stenson, that was Bobby's main pick. So
Yeah.
between a couple of those guys, but I mean, listen, really weird week. Let's just be honest here. I mean, you got Kuchar, Rory, Day. I believe it was 6 of the top 7 owned players in the 33 missed the cut.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often, especially at major championships. So
Yeah.
usually don't see that many top players play on. But yeah, that's the way she rolled last week. I mean, I feel like I didn't take advantage of it because I didn't have that much Dustin or that much Rory. I went with Phil over Stenson. That was my big mistake. So.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have.
Really stupid to fade Stenson last week, to be honest. He was like the lock. I probably should have had him in every one of my lineups, but it's easy to look back like that. But
Of course. So interesting week. Obviously it's in a different spot this year in terms of time. Coming right after the PGA. I get a little more excited about it, even though it's a smaller event, because it's fairly local. We have close friends in the area. We went to it last year, so we're a little familiar with the event. It was a great event to go to. So
yeah.
You get that finish where all those holes are right next to each other. Really exciting tournament to watch. You can come right off the start. You can just see what Bubba's done here. I have him left for one and done. I feel like I have to use him. He'll probably burn me, but if you're not going to use him with the Travelers, if you're not going to use him with the Masters, I feel like the Travelers is the next spot for him.
Yeah,
so.
there's like 3 or 4 courses he used Bubba at. Phoenix, he's done okay at here. Riviera, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So definitely a guy I'd expect. It's going to be interesting what his ownership will be on DraftKings because I mean. The form, he's probably pissing a few people off just with his general form. Now I say that he hasn't missed a cut all season, so
I know
he's 14 of 14. We talk about Bubba having these like blow-ups, but dude hasn't missed a cut. I mean, he's been consistent at least. So I still think he'll hit like 30%, but he won't be like we saw Dustin last week. Which was kind of crazy, like 44%. So. What are your thoughts? You think it'll be about 30 or?
I don't think so. I think at 12-3, I mean, there's a lot of guys that
there's so much value this week though. Like the prices are.
It's true.
We often say they're soft, but this is like a new round of softness. Like.
I just look at all those guys just below him, and I feel like they're all really strong plays. I mean.
That's true.
You look at I'd rather go like a Grace Koepka, type stack and not use Bubba. And I think, in a certain amount of lineups. I mean, I'll probably do a mix. It'll probably be one of those weeks where I just go a handful of Bubba lineups and then a handful of 2 or 3 really stars and scrubs. I mean, but again, you're right. There's so much value in there. I mean, we could jump right into them with the values. I look at a guy like Chad Campbell. Every time I see him pop up when he should, he's kind of like one of those guys where it just makes sense. Like I know he 2 weeks ago, really showed up. I mean, you look at him; he's 5 for 5 cuts, 7 and 9 at this course, including 4 top 25, 6,200. Throw him in there. So
exactly.
There's a lot of guys like that you can easily fit in with Bubba. So I don't know. I don't think the ownership gets over 30. I'm thinking more like 26 to 28 pushing up there, is my guess.
I think that's pretty reasonable. And yeah, I kind of forget Koepka's playing this week, but he's going to be popular. Everyone saw him play well last week. Now it's like, oh, Brooks is playing well, we got to play him. So he might actually even be higher owned than Bubba. He probably will be actually. So
if you look at guys that have played multiple starts over the last 3 months or 12-week moving, he is averaging 90.9 DraftKings points.
Yeah.
In this field, the next best is 75.3. Our good friend Robert Garrigus. So, and actually right after him, oddly enough, is Chad Campbell. So, when you look at that, all of a sudden, Koepka kind of jumps off the page. I mean, normally it's more of a scale where it kind of slopes even towards the top, but I mean, it's a 15-point gap in terms of average DraftKings points.
Yeah.
And he had a decent finish here last year. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he's probably the top dog and deserves to be. I mean, just from a point production standpoint, the dude just gets it done. And I mean, this is a short course. I mean, this is a funny event because I'll just get into a few trends and stuff with the Travelers. It's usually played right after the U.S. Open. And the last 3 winners have all missed the cut at the U.S. Open, and we've seen a lot of guys come in here and just not play that well after the major, or just not perform that well. But then guys who missed the cut or didn't play well perform well. So I'm not saying fade all the people that played well last week, but it is a different setup. I mean, this is going to be a birdie fest. It's not super long. It's different conditions. So just something to keep in mind. Like, I wouldn't say you have to fade people, but don't discount people who missed the cut last week. I think would be my one message. It's because it falls, again, it's a different major championship and a different date, but it's still the same concept. It's a soft course compared to what they saw last week. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you saw the tweet from Bowditch. I put out our key stats. I love this guy, man. So much unsolicited. I think he's really looking to get involved. He loves this DFS community. I mean, but I put out the key stats, and he was like, "Hey, just so you know, it's soaked here. Usually runs a little bit firm and fast." I'm like, "Listen, we'll look at that. I appreciate that. It's really cool when these guys get involved. It's definitely different when it comes to the golfers because." In the other sports, even like the mid-level, low-range stars are like too big to talk to anyone. And obviously in golf, the highest guys still are. But I mean, this is a guy that's won multiple PGA Tour events, and he's hanging out like talking to us on Twitter.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
Yeah, no, it's funny. And if anyone's not sure what Steve was talking on Twitter, and he just said send it, and then made a joke, but like I think he sounded half serious, so. He's 5K this week. I mean, look, like you just said, Steve. I mean, the dude's won twice. The second time he won, I'm pretty sure he missed like 4 cuts coming into the event. So
yeah.
It's not like the guy doesn't know how to get it done on a PGA course. He knows he's in bad form. He had some injury issues earlier in the year. If he's feeling it, he'll put up like 4 good rounds, and he'll top 20 or top 10. So I'm not saying go all in on Steven Bowditch, but. I'm gonna have a little top 20 bet on him. He's 33-1 to top 20. Like,
oh man,
I'm not gonna pass that up. Or it's 33-1 on the book I saw, anyways. So,
yeah.
But yeah, interesting nonetheless because the prices go way down this week. We usually don't see it go down to 5K, and there's a lot of different ways you can go down there. So, I know there's a few guys I don't mind at 5,900. Like Billy Hurley's been playing awesome.
Yeah.
Bud Cauley's down there 5,900. Brandon DeJong's coming on a little bit. Again, these guys at the end of the year, some of these guys just get hot because they need their tour cards. I feel like DeJong is, even if he just starts making cuts again at 5,600, or no, he's at 6K. Sorry. Even if he just starts making cuts again, he can kind of go low. So there's lots of guys to choose from down there. I mean, we can talk about who you like and stuff, but there's just a lot of different things you can do.
Generally one of the things we do, and we got a little bit of a late start to this week. I was away this weekend, obviously the major championship. So, a lot of times we'll kind of really analyze the round by round numbers to kind of see if maybe there was 1 or 2 holes that really threw off a guy, and maybe he played well. But What do you make of Matt Kuchar? We haven't really we didn't dive into it. I mean, do you really make anything of the cut, or are you just kind of like, hey, listen, if Rory and DJ, can miss the cut, and so can Kuchar.
Yeah, no, pretty much. I mean, it didn't really seem like Kuchar was playing that poorly, too. I mean, every time I looked at him in Shot Tracker, he's hitting it to like 15 feet, and it just seemed to get away from him a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a tough course, right? It's like we talk about at major championships. I'm never going to get that mad at a guy who's playing a tough course,
Yep.
and it just gets away from him a little bit because it's so easy to do. And it's like I said off the top, guys who miss the cut of majors come here playing well. So I like Kuchar this week. He's not going to be 25, 30% for once. He's probably going to be like 10, 13%. I'm all over it, man. Like I might pay down to get him. Like I mean, I like it. I mean, he's consistent. He needs Ryder Cup points too. That's the only reason Matt Kuchar's playing this week. He wants Ryder Cup points. So.
Which is interesting to me. It's interesting to me because, where is he ranked in Ryder Cup? Because he's been playing so well. Like I can't imagine that he's like not like a lock at this point with the stretch he's been on.
He's not an automatic pick. He's like 10th or something. Like only the top 8 make it. So let me just double check that. But yeah, he's definitely not in the automatic qualifiers. He is 11th. Patrick Reed's 10th. Bubba Watson's 9th. Ricky Fowler's 12th. All 4 of the guys who are going to the Olympics aren't even on the Ryder Cup squad. That's interesting.
What do you think of DL3 and Tiger already talking about their early picks? Do you think who do you think those guys are?
I mean, doesn't Phil have to be one of the picks? I mean, it's not going to be Tiger's pick, but he's still going to get picked. Like, Lovell pick him. But it kind of sucks because, I mean, it takes away from one of the other guys I'd like to see go. But, you know that Phil's going to be one of the picks. So, I mean, it sounds weird, but I mean, I really think that unless Bubba Watson qualifies, they'll leave him off. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, he doesn't get along with anyone. Like, no one likes him, so why would they pick him?
Yeah, listen, if Bubba doesn't qualify, I could see it not being, I mean, what his record is, average? I think it's actually decent, but I think they're really building towards a camaraderie. I mean, they were talking about that on the post show.
I think he basically forced the coaches to play him with Webb Simpson all the time, and Webb Simpson's not going to be on this team. So
yeah, that's true.
It's just something to think about. But I could see Bubba being left off. I think that Reed will make it. I think if they had to pick between Reed or Kuchar, Reed would go, and I think Ricky will be on it for sure. So I think Ricky, Reed, Phil, those 3 guys are going to be on. That leaves one more. I don't know. Maybe it's Bubba, but I could see him going like a different direction, like taking like maybe Justin Thomas or someone else like that. So
yeah. What are your thoughts on John Rahm ownership this year?
I think it's going to be pretty good. I think it's going to be like 20%. I think it kind of makes sense. I like a guy right underneath him. I'd much rather take J.B. Holmes this week. Again, he's coming off a missed cut. J.B. Holmes hasn't missed consecutive cuts in 3 seasons.
That's nice. I like that little gem right there.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, look, this guy's played well like all year. I mean, and the thing about Holmes too is he's played well at events where he doesn't think he's played well at, but like the Memorial. A few other places like the Valero Texas Open, he played well. So I just see what Bubba did last year. Looking at J.B. Holmes' stats, his wedge play is really solid. Like he's top 30 in proximity from like 100 to 175 yards.
Yeah, I was just gonna jump on that. I mean,
makes a lot of birdies. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
No, sorry. One of our key stats is the proximity from 150 to 175. In 5 starts, he's ranked 2nd in the field in our data. He's averaging 9.5 feet closer than the fields he's played against from that distance, and that seems to be a pretty prominent number that showed up for us when we were doing the analysis there. So between that and the driving distance that showed up, considering he's not one of these bombers that misses fairways. You know, it's not like he's that inaccurate or anything. So I think this could be a good spot for him.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's not like these guys can't club down a bit if they need to. So, yeah, I think it's a really interesting spot for JB Holmes. I mean, and no one's going to own him because Rahm's going to be on him. He missed the cut, and people think about this course and they think, oh, it's not a bomber's course. Well, I mean, it may not be a bomber's course, but guys who hit it long definitely still have an advantage. You know, they're closer to the hole. I mean, they're going to be hitting wedges all day on this course. And I know at the start of the week, I wanted to find out what shape the course is in, and apparently it's really lush out there. They got a lot of rain, so I mean, you probably know better than I do, but it looks like it's going to play pretty soft, which is awesome for JB Holmes if it is. So, yeah, no, I think that if you're looking for a tournament swerve off of Rahm, he's it for me.
Who else? Anything else you want to kind of go over in the top prices? I mean, you know, obviously Webb Simpson's up there. We actually have Webb Simpson and Zach Johnson in our top class. I mean, it's 4 people. It's Koepka, Simpson, Johnson, and Bubba. You know, if you look at Webb Simpson, out of nowhere, you know, especially in this kind of field, we have him ranked 5th in the recent form, 3rd in key stats, and 5th in course history. When he's made all 6 cuts, or he's made 5 or 6 cuts on tour, kind of just coming out of nowhere, just ran into form, considering he wasn't playing well early.
I'm not touching Webb Simpson this week. Like I will not have no. There's no way.
But you know what? The thing is, and this is what I say stuff like that myself, and Bobby will come at me and is like, "I'm putting him on my $300 team because of that comment alone."
Yeah, and I get that too, and trust me, I go there with guys like that. I'll be like, "Oh, I don't like this guy," and stuff like that, and maybe I should play him, but Webb Simpson, man, I'm telling you, like, I just don't think it's not just that I don't like him from a DFS perspective, because he's probably burned me so many times. There's so many weeks where I've been like, oh, this is perfect for Webb Simpson, sets up perfectly, he's striking it perfectly, and then he's like 5 over. But in all seriousness, I just don't really like him in a tournament like this where you're going to need to hole a lot of putts and make a lot of birdies. I mean,
well, let's be clear. He is 2nd in the field in strokes gained tee to green over the last 12 weeks, and he's 52nd in strokes gained putting in the field. 116th on tour, but that puts him 52nd in the field over the last 12 weeks. So
yeah,
the putting has been trending upwards. That's the only thing I can say.
Yeah, no, and for sure. I mean, it's not like he can't have a good week with the putter. I mean, he did at the Dean and DeLuke at the Colonial. You know, he almost beat Spieth there. So it's not like he can't sink putts. It's just for 10K, I just don't want him as like a cornerstone because I know Kuchar's at 10.6. I'd rather take a chance with Holmes, I think, this week. I just feel like if there's a top guy whose putter is going to desert him, although Paul Casey I could say the same thing about. I'm not really on Casey for the same reasons. So, and he finished 2nd here last year, and I mean his putter kind of worked last year. But both those guys scare me. I mean, tee to green they're great, but when the putter goes cold in a birdie fest, they're not really guys I want to target. So I don't know. It's personal bias, but it's also a little bit of I got a little bit of reality there too, I guess. But I won't have any Webb Simpson.
What do you think about? And again, the data it kind of is oddly skewed a little bit, but Ted Potter Jr. I don't know if he's a real flyer. He's missed a couple cuts on the regular tour, but if you go back a little bit, he was playing decent on the web.com. Just one of those guys that are real way down there. I know I just kind of going out to left field there, but he just popped up to me, so I figured I'd mention one of those low end guys.
Yeah, Potter's I brought him up I think a couple weeks ago. Oh no, it was at the Canadian Open. He completely bombed, but he had consecutive top 20s on the web.com, and then he's on a medical exemption too. So I mean, he really needs a good finish this week. He had been playing well until the Canadian Open. Might have been a bit of a shock that week just because the course played so firmly. It's the only explanation I have for a guy who shot 75-80. But he had been playing decently before that. So yeah, there's 5,300, definitely a guy I'd consider. I mean, there's just so many names down there. I mean, Matt Jones is 5,400 this week. That's bizarre. It's crazy. There's weird value guys littered everywhere this week, you know. But yeah, Ted Potter's definitely a guy. I mean, Scott Stallings is down there too. He needs a good week. A lot of guys fighting for their cards this week.
I feel like this could be a week. You know, Gary Woodland comes back after maybe disappointing a little bit after some higher expectations.
Yeah, no, I like Woodland this week. A lot of the same reasons I like JB Holmes, I like Gary Woodland. Again, if the course is going to play a little bit softer, and Woodland's a guy who's won on some similar courses. Like he won at the Valspar. That's a course Ryan Moore has played well at both here and at the Valspar. John Sendon's played well at both those courses. I think he's won at actually both those events. I think he's won this event and the Valspar. So there's correlation. Woodland should definitely play well here. He's T20 here last year in worse form. I mean, he wasn't really in good form. He still finished T20 here last year. So Woodland's another guy who missed the cut. I'm going to definitely have Gary Woodland exposure.
I mean, you look at Woodland. He's 5 of 7 cuts, so he missed 2 cuts. The other 5 events, all top 25s, including a 4th and a 2nd.
Yeah, the dude's playing well. And I mean, this is kind of narrative street, but I mean, he's a Butch Harmon guy. I mean, Jimmy Walker won last week. You got to think that's that's giving him a little bit of motivation, a little bit of confidence. So.
How crazy is this whole Butch Harmon thing? I mean, I feel like everyone just you go to Butch Harmon and it's it, you know?
Yeah, the dude must know what he's doing. I mean, go see Butch Harmon and win a golf tournament, basically.
Are you interested in staying on Tyrell Hatton?
I'm not, just because of the ownership. And the guy hasn't played that much over in the States before, and it's not like I don't think he can get it done on this course. It's just, it's really mainly just an ownership thing, and the fact there's so many different ways you can go. I'm not going to go out of my way to play him. Yeah. I don't have any stats on him from American courses. I know he's playing super well right now, but I just don't like playing these European guys in the first little bit when they come over. I've seen so many guys struggle just adjusting a little bit. Then they'll figure it out. You have guys like Brandon Grace figured it out and Shane Lowry figured it out, but they can struggle off the bat. So I just don't feel any need to go out of my way to play him.
Yeah, the price, if he was still in the 6s, I'd probably ride him,
Yeah.
7,700, he's getting up there where, listen, the price jump is warranted. I mean, if you look
yeah, absolutely.
Look at what he did. He's played in 2 majors, and in those majors, he's got top 10s. So it's like, if I told you, a guy's played the last 2 events he's played in the majors, and they've been top 10s in both. I told you he was 7,700. All of a sudden, all right, well, I got to look into it. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's just a feeling,
Yeah. It's. I mean, I agree completely. It's basically the same with me. It's just I just don't really feel like this is the same. Again, the courses are really different this week to next. So there's a bit of an adjustment. I'd rather have guys coming in here who know the course a little bit or just used to the setup. So and again, I expect him to be maybe 15 to 18% owned, which I don't like. So. For me, he's kind of an easy fade. There are a couple other guys in that range, though. Like Ryan Moore's got an amazing record here, and Daniel Summerhays, too. Are you going to on Summerhays this week? Or?
I mean, listen, I always love me a little Summerhays. So
yeah. Well, he's treated you pretty well this year. I mean, geez.
Yeah, we have him basically ranked 29th overall in our 3rd class. I mean, he's 11th in recent form. The only issue I have with Summerhays is course history, and as a course history guy, he has pretty much struggled here. He's only 1 of 4 cuts. You look at the actual results there. There he is. I mean, his best finish is his 74th, meaning he made the cut of the number. So honestly, I hadn't looked into him individually until you just mentioned him, and I'm too much of a course history guy to get behind that. I mean, unless there's really other circumstances. I mean, when your best finish in 4 events at the course is 74th, he'll probably play well because it's definitely one of his better years, if not his best year, consistency-wise. And it wouldn't shock me, but there's just nothing that says all of a sudden he's going to be like a top 10.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of agree. And again, I just don't feel the need to go up to play him this week. there's just too many other guys I like. So, um, yeah, I'm definitely with the Summer Hayes fade. I liked Summer Hayes when he was like 6,400, no one played him, but now that he's like 77 and people are playing him, I just don't see the need. I might get on him next week at the John Deere. He had a really good finish there last year, so that course might be where he pops for his first win. So, but this week I think I'm fine fading him off the major championship. The ideal situation would be he misses the cut this week, burns everyone, then he's like low for next week. Then he pops. That'd be awesome. That's kind of what I'm playing with Summer Hayes. So.
Yeah, I mean the one thing I have noticed here is it looks like it's just one of those courses where people that have played well here have consistently played well here. You know,
yes, absolutely, yeah, exactly.
You look at Brendan Steele; he's got one bad event, but he's got two 13th, a 5th, and a 25th. You look at our boy, Mark Leishman. Obviously, he won here in 2012. He's at 11th and 24th, two other, decent finishes. Again, that narrative of a weak field, high-ranked player. I'm trying to think about other guys that played fairly well here overall.
Chris Stroud.
Yeah.
Chris Stroud has like 9 cuts. Finished, lost in the playoff to Ken Duke in 2013. He's like top 10 last year. Yeah.
I remember that. I remember listening to that. That was like one of the first times I really. I'm trying to think of it. I was driving home listening to that Ken Duke Chris Stroud playoff, and I'm like, what am I listening to right now? I was driving back home from the Netherlands, right? That was a good tournament. But yeah, he's got that second. Yeah, you look at 18th, 10th. I mean, he hasn't finished worse than 70th, but that was in 2008. So other than that, it's his worst 42nd in the last 6 years. So
he's making cuts right now too. I mean,
yeah,
definitely consider me some Chris Stroud down there this week. I mean, you're right. I mean, this is a course where guys are pretty familiar, and once they get familiar, they get comfortable, and they usually do well here. So.
Let's see if anyone else is. Obviously not guys that are just good players, but I mean Hoffman, friggin' Charlie Hoffman.
Yeah.
I don't, you don't know what his deal is overall right now. Obviously, coming off of two missed cuts, but obviously a force for him. I think the ownership is probably going to be low based off of those two missed cuts.
I'll throw out a couple guys here, and I'll just get your opinion on them. First one is Garrigus.
Okay.
Where does he rank for you guys? And like, you really on him at 6,500? Do you think that's you think it's like time to get back on him, or are you kind of fading? The other one is Ricky Barnes at 6,700.
So both of those guys actually ranked right next to each other.
Yeah. Okay.
We have Ricky Barnes ranked 24th and Garrigus ranked 25th.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna between the two of them, I'm taking Barnes mainly because course history, but the key stats are also a bit better for Ricky Barnes. We have him ranked 15th in key stats. Garrigus not terrible, but 32nd. If you look at Garrigus by by year here, you're looking at 39th last year, didn't play since 2013, missed the cut, 68th in 2010. I mean, he had one shrunk finish, but that was in 2009. Other than that, it hasn't been a course for him. So again, he's probably playing better this year than he has in those years. So it's something to consider. But if you have to pick between the two of them, Ricky Barnes, listen, he's a guy that's playing fairly well. The key stats are there. It's not so much great of the course history. He's got a couple bombs, but he also does have a 5th place and a 13th place here. I feel a little better about Ricky Barnes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the last question between the two of them is, where's the ownership? Do you imagine Garrigus to actually be higher owned than Barnes?
I don't think either one of them will be very much.
Yeah, it's negligible probably.
Yeah, it's like maybe Barnes gets to 5%.
Yeah.
Garrigus is like 4 or 6 or something. But like I said, there's so many people at 6,200. I mean, Chad Campbell will be targeted. Michael Thompson is coming off like 2 really nice finishes.
I saw you posting. What do you got him at 125 to 1? All in?
Yeah, I wasn't really on him. Someone else was on him, but I think he makes sense. I mean, at that price, I mean, the guy's won on tour before and stuff, and he's just playing well. So, there's there's just so many guys around that range. I don't feel like people play Garrigus anyways because they just think he sucks. So
Yeah.
and Barnes is like sometimes people get on him, but I don't really feel it's 6,700. And then John Sendon's right there too. I mean, your guy who had a nice week last week.
Yeah, he didn't pull through for I think I had him for a top 10.
Oh, okay, that sucks.
But listen, I had a fun week last week because it was a real sweat all around. Like a lot of the guys that I was interested in higher odds didn't pay out. It's the fact that my cash lineup had Sergio and Kuchar.
Yeah.
And even with them, we came close to cashing that lineup. So it was just the lower end guys performed, but that was pretty much it. I'm trying to figure out why because he didn't really tell me, but Bobby just randomly threw out John Curran or Kern, whatever.
John Curran, okay, yeah.
I don't have much other than like some standard stats on him, but anytime Bobby randomly throws out someone, I know he did the research. It's not just like a gut feel. So he just has he's been busy today, so he hasn't gotten into detail. But I'm just looking at him now: 6 or 7 cuts, 1 or 2 here, so not much experience. Trying to see if there's anything else I can find. Maybe he was looking at the round by round data, but putting the ball well. In that proximity range, so a couple of the key stats popping up. So there's so many guys you can kind of be intrigued by in that mid-6s range.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's another guy I'd feel comfortable rostering this week. I mean, he's consistent. He's generally like a pretty good wedge player and a pretty good putter. So I mean, it's going to get hot on this course. I mean, it's obviously a little bit different style in Garrigus, but still will be effective this week just because this course doesn't really play favorites. It's just whoever can score well. And I mean, you can do that numerous ways on the course. So, I mean, Curran's definitely another guy in that range I'd consider. Actually, another guy who's going to be low owned this week is, or I assume he will be, is Martin Laird.
Let's look at this.
Obviously, coming off the T2 at the Canadian Open, led the field in greens regulation there. 15th here last year. I like the fact he plays well in a lot of his scoring seems to be done on the par 4s and par 3s this year too. So I like Martin Laird. He always seems to play well at the end of the year too when he makes like a push to get his tour card. So I don't hate him this week. I don't. He's kind of like a Webb Simpson. He's kind of like a cheaper version of Webb Simpson because his putter can come and go, but if he sinks putts, he could very easily win the tournament. So he's playing that well tee to green.
He's ranked 7th in the field in greens and regulation. If you look at approach, he's ranked 9th in strokes gain approach, but the off the tee numbers haven't been that solid, but overall the strokes gained tee to green is solid. It's just like you're saying, if he just kind of shows up at the putter, then all of a sudden, I mean, 8,000 is a lot. He's going to be no one's going to own Martin.
No, and that's exactly it's like you're paying up to get the ownership.
Yeah, no one's gonna.
Yeah, like for me, he's a guy I might target if I throw a 3-under lineup in this week. He's a guy I might target. Something like that, just because the potential really is there. I mean, this guy's won multiple times on tour too, so another guy with lots of birdie potential this week, in my opinion. So, there's thought I'd throw him out there. He always seems to get hot around this time of year, so it's kind of like the time of year to play him. But if you're looking for a swerve off of Tyrell Hatton or something like that, I definitely consider him.
And you got that question about Streelman based on that finish he had. I mean, listen.
Oh yeah, sorry, I don't have the chat open by the way. So.
No, it doesn't matter. I've been kind of like steering a couple comments towards it. Other than that kind of finish, I'm not too excited about Streelman. He's only made 3 or 6 cuts. It's tough for me to kind of pay up for a guy that isn't in tremendous form. I feel like 7,500 is a little more than I want to spend on him. I mean, he's ranked 110th in the field in PGA. He's averaging 2.27 points less than someone priced at 7,500, so there's really not much value there. In terms of guys that are up there in that value, Campbell we have ranked number 1. He's averaging 29.16 points more than someone priced at 600. Hatton jumps in there, which again, like I was saying, the value seems to still be there at that price because you're looking at just finishes. But again, it's only a small sample size. But then your boy Garrigus is third there. He's averaging 26.27 points more. And then I think the most interesting is, and I saw this earlier in the year, right as Scott was popping, and right as DJ was popping. Generally, what I find is the P gap is a little skewed towards low-priced players that are playing really well, which makes sense because that's the whole point. It's to identify who's outperforming their price.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really hard for someone at 11,000 to average a significant amount more than that price for a significant amount of time. However, Brooks Koepka is averaging 25.38 points more than someone priced at 11,200. So when someone jumps up like that, it's the same as I think like Scott. Even when Scott was like 12,500 after his win or two, he was still like first in P gap, and the same thing with DJ. So I think that's one thing to notice when those high end guys are still giving you that value. I mean, he's ranked first in recent form, first in key stats. So kind of brings it back.
That's Brooks Koepka you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I mean, as much as I can make the case for like maybe should fade guys at the U.S. Open, I mean, like Brooks Koepka is clearly the best option in my mind. I don't hate Brandon Grace this week. A lot of the stats seem to check out with him. I mean, like just from approaches and stuff like that. I was kind of trying to work who I like better between Kuchar and Grace this week, and they're pretty even. Kuchar maybe has like a bit of an advantage just in that he seems to make less bogeys, but those two guys look pretty even on my card. If you're looking for a guy to play other than Koepka, just for ownership, but
I feel like I should send you this snap. Bobby and I, just about 20 minutes before we get on here, he comes at me with might do a Brooks Cooch stack, and he's, what do you think about the ownership between Grace and Brooks? And I'm like, no. And then he goes, all right, maybe I'll do a Brooks Grace stack. So I think we're both right there. It's going to be. I'm probably going to be doing a good amount of the two of those three. So
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Koepka will be highly owned, but like you said with the stats, you're getting such a good base of the just points that you're probably going to get from them that you can just stack them and differentiate other ways if you want. So like I said, I mean, for me the call between Grace and Kuchar is tight this week. I mean, I don't really have a way to differentiate it except to say maybe Kuchar comes in here a little bit better rested, but I do like both those guys. Grace is the guy he's just such a good competitor. I won't be shocked if he has another good week. So.
And one of the interesting things is when we look at our data, Koepka is 5 of 6 in the top 30 in the field in our data. That's generally like the one kind of thing we do every week. The top 30. The one that he's missing is driving distance, and that's kind of a bit of a lie. Like the guy did it, so it is what it is. I mean, it's just he hasn't been driving it further than the fields he's played against. Maybe that's because he's been clubbing down, whatever it is. But that's not a concern. So he's one of the only guys that is 6 of 6. Actually, let's see. Of course, right? One person 6 of 6. Robert Garrigus. I mean, he's kind of like more like. It seems like he's in ranked 20th to 30th of the top 30 of all 6 stats, from what I can see right here. So
Garrigus is?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you should just play Brooks and Garrigus. I mean, that's a good way to differentiate yourself. You have like a 30% owned and a 5% owned guy.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I mean, that's all you need, right? So.
Let's see. All right. I mean, I'm gonna filter the guide out right now, just to go less than or equal to 5,900, because I feel like there's so many players that are worth kind of just thinking about there. You mentioned Billy Early, you mentioned Cauley. I'm trying to think. I mean, Matt Jones. I mean, really interesting. Matt Jones, can play. Poor course history, but had a decent year.
Vaughn Taylor's made a few cuts too.
Yeah, I'm trying to see like who's I mean guys that are in 2 of 3 of our top like recent form key stats course history. I mean Wes Roach, 23rd in recent form, 17th in key stats, made 5 or 6 cuts, made the cut here once. Sam Saunders, top 20 in recent form and key stats, actually coming in, and he's played really well in these mid to weak field events. So I think he's interesting at 5,800. Of course, David Toms is showing up for course history, but kind of like when was the course history?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although he played well, except for I think he missed a cut last week, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's
I was shocked. I mean, wet course that long, he didn't really have a chance. But this is this is completely different. So
you look at David Toms. Oh my God, look at these friggin' numbers. He's averaging the last in the last 10 years. He's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times at this course. He's averaging 91.4 DraftKings points. He's got an average finish of 19. He's got a 6th, a 2nd, and he finished 20th just last year. So
yeah.
I mean, if it's going to be wet again, then it might be a little bit of an issue. But hell, 5,800. I mean,
I mean, this course is so short. I don't even think it'll matter. Like it could rain the whole time. It probably wouldn't even matter for him. So
he's got the lowest average finish out of anyone that's played more than once.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost like David Toms in an event like this where you kind of got to make birdies. The guy can still stick it. I mean, it's just put too much pressure on his long game and he'll make bogeys. But definitely another interesting play down there. I mean, 5,800.
Yeah, I don't know if I like it. It's like hard to kind of ignore that.
I kind of do like it. I mean, like I said, it's just these are the style events you want to target these older guys at.
Yeah.
Where if it's shorter, they're probably not going to miss a ton of greens, so they won't put pressure on their short game. I mean, if you can play David Toms, this is it.
How about I'm trying to who got ranked here. I mean, Michael Kim,
Michael Kim, yeah. I mean, what is he like 5,600?
55, yeah.
55. Like, why is he 5,500? Like, he's made like hasn't he?
It's just interesting because I'm looking at all these guys after I sorted it by like recent form.
Yeah.
I mean, all these guys under 6,000, like, so many of them have missed either one or no cuts in the last like 3 months.
No, that's what I mean. I mean, guys who are making cuts, we're getting price dumps this week. Like, it's bizarre. I don't know why Michael Kim's down there. He's made like 9 of his last 10 cuts or something. So
I mean,
with top 20s in there too. So it's not like he's like just barely making the cut.
Yeah. You look at the ass wagon. He's made 7 straight cuts, and he's made both cuts in this event, and he's 5,100.
Yeah, he's down there with Comps and Landry, who he's got like the one finish, and Bowditch. Asswagen should be down there with Bowditch. He should be at least up there with, Oppenheim or something. I don't know. So it's strange. I don't know why they did. I don't know why they made the spread down to 5K. It's just bizarre. Right? It's weird, but maybe
it is a big field for like a smaller time event. I mean, not all the time. These events don't always get to that much, but maybe they're going a little more extended field.
And I think the big thing is the field's just stronger than it usually is. So yeah. I think that has a lot to do with it. So that always pushes the value, sort of plays down. So, but there's a lot of guys down here in this 5K range. We could talk about Greg Chalmers won an event like 3 weeks ago. Won the Barracuda. So Kelly Craft had a good start in Canada, then he flamed out.
Let me see. Where do I have Houston right now? Let's see. We have Houston ranked exactly 50th in the field. Hasn't been playing as much recently, it looks like, but he got 2 really strong finishes here. He was playing well. I mean, we rode him for that little wave. I guess it was probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago. But he hasn't played as much. I guess he's only played in the FedEx and the U.S. Open. He missed the cut at the U.S. Open. when I was all over him because he played so well at the FedEx in the weeks coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play in Quicken Loans. He didn't make qualify the WBC. He's not a guy that's going to play in the Barracuda or Barbasol, and he didn't qualify for the Open in the PGA. So, all of a sudden he's back, and I don't really know what to make of him. At 7,000, I think it's a little riskier than I'd like to go, even though he has been someone that I've kind of just said, let's go Goose all year.
Yeah, I almost would expect Goosen to be closer to 6K, just the way the salaries are broken down. And if he was, I mean, I'd probably be all over him. But I kind of feel the same way. He could make for a really good pick, and it's one of those cases. It's like Martin Laird. If you want to pay up for Retief, do it because you'll get him at a lower ownership in tournaments. So, but at the same time, we haven't seen him play for 2 months. I don't know what he's going to do here. So I do kind of like it. I mean, he doesn't have to pound it off the tee. A little less pressure on his putter and stuff like that. So
what's interesting to me is that I'm guessing that this is a Ryder Cup type play, and this is he played here once in the last 10 years. Didn't have a strong finish, but he's been playing fairly well recently. That's Jim Furyk.
Right.
I didn't realize he was in the field.
No, I know he's like the forgotten dude this week. I mean, I keep browsing over and I'm like, oh, Jim Furyk's there at 9,400, and then I keep going because I guess I don't care. But,
you look at the PGA and the Open, not great outings, but RBC 13th, Quicken Loans 21st. Lower events. I mean, listen, I expect Jim Furyk to make the cut. I mean, you want more from someone at 9,400. I think he's probably one of the safer plays in my mind.
I mean, he won on a Pete Dye course last year. I mean, it's a fairly similar one too. I mean, a shorter par 4 heavy. So it's not out of the realm of possibility he gets it going here. But I mean, I think a safe play. Just again, probably not the guy I'm going to super target.
Nah. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, Oosthuizen's in the field too. I mean, this is a good field. Chappell's in the field. I mean, we haven't talked about him. Molinari's in the field. Russell Knox. I mean, at 8,600, that's another guy who, in my opinion, if you have a cash game lineup, just book it. Russell Knox in there. I mean, a shorter course where accuracy comes a little bit more into play on your approaches. That is Russell Knox for me. So.
All right. 1, Russell Knox, Bobby's all over. But 2, I was so confused for a second because I saw in the chat the comment about Reed. I don't know why, as someone who loves Reed, I didn't even notice Patrick Reed as well. Same thing with Furyk. I don't know how I could have possibly missed them. And I'm I'm ready to make some sarcastic, obnoxious joke about, I'll play Reed if he was playing this week, and then I'm like, wait, and yeah. So listen, I think if anything, he's more jacked up to kind of play well at the Olympics. I don't know that he's gonna kind of not play well because he's thinking about it. I mean, what are your thoughts on that question?
Yeah, about sorry, again, I don't have the chat open, but I assume it's just fading the Olympic guys kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, they definitely have the Olympics, but Patrick Reed wants to make the Ryder Cup, and that's why he's playing this week. I mean, so he's got motivation. I mean, it's a busy schedule, but he's not going to leave early to go to the Olympics because, I mean, again, there's a lot of money, and I mean, the Olympics, whatever. I mean, I'm sure it's fun, but I mean, he doesn't care if he gets there a day late or something, and. So, I mean, the Olympic guys all have motivation because they're all in the Ryder Cup bubble, and that's why they're here. So I was kind of thinking about Reed right off the bat. I'm still considering him over Furyk. I think both those guys are – I think one of those guys could have a big week. I'm just not convinced which one. I mean, Kuchar's probably the safer play, but for once, I don't hate Patrick Reed this week. I mean, I really don't. I mean, he played well last week, and I didn't think he would. So I think that sort of bodes well for his chances here. Again, a guy whose putter hasn't exactly cooperated with him at times this year. I guess that's the only thing that would scare me a little bit in a tournament where it's a potential birdie fest.
The next best guy under 7,000 after Chad Campbell in our rankings is your boy, the Swafficer. We got him. We got him second class, ranked 12th. He got 10th in recent form, 4th in key stats. Made one or two cuts here. It doesn't really concern me as a guy that is still kind of young, but obviously playing better this year. But yeah, he's made 7 straight, averaging 71 DraftKings points, puts him 10th in points gained against price. Listen, 6,900. I mean, there aren't many guys that have been playing as consistently well as he has in that range.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of time to get on the Swaffinator train here. Like, I mean, dude just keeps making cuts, and I mean, he's kind of almost due for a big week here. I mean, that's how well he's been playing. So, yeah, 6,900, and I mean, so what? I mean, he's not going to be highly owned. He's consistent. He can make a lot of birdies. He's going to be able to reach on the drivable par fours and the par fives because his driving distance is good. So, I don't know, what are his recent form like? Like, is he putting well or tee to green?
That's the thing. He just needs to putt. I mean, he's ranked 41st in tour, and 16th in the field in strokes gained tee to green over the last 12 weeks. He's in 4 or 6 of our data stats, so he's up there in par 4 scoring. He's up there in birdie or better. He's up there in driving distance. He's a little behind in that proximity range of 150 to 175, but. It just seems to me like if he shows up as a hot putter, he's going to easily top 20. If he doesn't, then he's probably going to be, an average guy like you expect him to be.
Yeah, which is fine because I mean he's only 6,900. So if he finishes like 40th, it's not the end of the world. So, but again, I mean like Goossen's interesting, but I'd probably rather go with Swafford this week for sure.
Oh yeah.
Badley's kind of interesting too down there. I mean, 6,900.
I mean, he is a guy that has been hitting it well for a guy that is notorious for not hitting it well.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, again, he's not hitting it like phenomenal, but when I remember looking at him all last year and seeing that he was basically first in strokes gained putting and last in strokes gained tee to green.
Yeah, so he played terrible last year, but the guy is a really good putter. He plays really well around the greens. So
if you take a guy that putts as well as he does and just let him hit the ball a little bit, he contends, and then there you go, he wins the tournament.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because Swafford's played so well tee to green, Badley's played so well around the greens that one of those guys will probably pop this week. It's just it's just a matter really of who gets it done. Does Badley have a good week hitting it or an approach on his approaches, or does Swafford have a good week with the putter? I mean, playing both these guys isn't the worst idea in the world, just because they're both in pretty good form.
Yeah.
So, yeah, something to think about. I mean, definitely 2 guys to consider. I'm not even sure I can make a call between them, but I definitely like Swafford this week.
Is interesting.
Russell Henley's another guy, 6,400. I mean, he was one of the first guys that kind of popped out to me as just being like super cheap. I mean, obviously, played well at the FedEx, then kind of had a slump, but 22nd last week, he put in 4 solid rounds. So he has no course history here. I mean, the ownership's not going to be an issue, I don't think, because even though he looks like value, it's again people don't like to look at course history and see nothing. So, the dude won at the Sony Open the first time he played the course. He's played pretty well on Pete Dye courses before on shorter par 70s. So, look, I mean, Russell Henley's one of the best putters on tour. So, if it gets hot, I mean, anything can happen. I just like the price on it. I mean, I think that's a steal. So, I don't know what your thoughts are on him.
Henley's a guy that
he's frustrated. I mean, this year has been super frustrating. His stats say he should be playing more consistently. He should have like a few more top 10s. But then he plays well for a tournament, then he misses 2 cuts. Like it's just like it's bizarre. But and I can't even say exactly what's wrong with his game. He has these lapses. But the guy's just a brilliant putter, and he can So he's always someone I consider, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I get asked about him as much as anyone because he's always the guy that's never priced too high, but you see flashes of brilliance, and it's just a guy that I have a hard time really getting behind because he's just as likely to give you a 120th place finish.
For sure.
So at 6,400, again, you can get behind it. It's just I feel like this week in particular, there's so many people there. I mean, if it's a field where the pricing isn't as soft and he's still 6,400, I feel a little better about it than maybe this week. But I think I'm slightly just biased because I've just never been a guy that has gotten on him because of the consistency.
Yeah, it's, and I mean, this year especially, he's, like I said, it's just, you go to look at his stats and stuff, and you're like, oh, this should work out, and then it's like, you open it, and he's like 5 over, and you're like, what happened?
Uh-huh.
But he's definitely way less expensive than I thought he would be this week. So even the odds, I mean, he's coming in around 80 to 100 to 1 this week. All those guys he's down with are 150, 200 to 1. Some of these guys. So I mean, he's the same price as Ken Duke. So just from a value perspective, he's down there, and I mean, definitely a guy who can put in a big week. So definitely a guy I would confine to tournaments. Though I mean, he's, like I said, for no rhyme or reason with his results this year. So, any last questions or anyone you want to end off with, or?
I don't really see any questions. I'm trying to look up. I'm trying to do that one thing where I get a little quiet again because I'm trying to put together that little lineup just to kind of see, hey.
Yeah. See what you can do with the top players, kind of thing.
If I can get on board of that Russell Knox train, I'm looking at Koepka, Kuchar, Campbell, Swafford, Knox, and that leaves me 6,500. I'm trying to see. I mean, definitely some guys. You can fit Garrigus in there if you want to kind of jump on that. I mean, ownership-wise, you're going to be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I feel like I'm kind of grateful in a week like this where I'm not one of these guys that does, a max entry because I would just I wouldn't know what to do just looking at all these guys in this mid-sixes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not so much the top players. I mean, you do have to obviously pick and choose, but I think I even wrote that in my column this week. It's like the 6,500 guys and below where you have to you're gonna have to pop the right guys. I mean, we didn't even talk about Adam Hadwin.
No.
I mean, 60 to 200. It's like a $2,500 price decrease after making the cut. He's made a ton of cuts. He's putting well. Again, I don't get the price, and the price is good. So it's
It's just hard to really peg. It's like.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It should be a good tournament, though. I'm really looking forward to this one. I mean, after seeing, kind of stop and start and not a lot of birdies last week. I mean, I think I just like this course. This drivable par fours. There's a chance for guys to make eagles a lot, and it looks like it's in good shape. And I don't think there's going to be any rain.
No, it should be nice.
Stuff, so.
I'm a little disappointed because we went last year, and then I'm obviously because you go and you have the email, so they keep emailing it, and for the last 2-3 months, I've been getting the commitments on the emails, and I see who it is, and look at the field. It's not what it is. It's Koepka, Simpson, DJ, Bubba, Kuchar, Reed, Grace. I mean, this is a really decent field. I mean, you got you got Berger, Leishman, Molinari. These are guys that are exciting to go watch. I mean, I'm actually going to be somewhat in the area, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make it over there. So I'm definitely going to want to watch this one because it seems like one of those events where you're not going to be maybe rooting for, or not rooting, but watching a high-end guy versus an underdog. There's a good chance for a really solid shootout between two of the top guys, and that's what always makes golf fun,
Yeah, exactly. So completely agree. So I'm definitely looking forward to this week. It should be solid. And next week, get the Olympics and the John Deere Classic, which, like I said off the top, John Deere is another shootout event. It's usually pretty fun for DFS. So, and then the Greenbrier, and then the playoffs. So there's a couple good weeks left here. This is nice. So. But yeah, any last thoughts or?
No, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna have a lot of Kuchar, Grace, and Koepka, and figure it out from there.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. But like I said, I'll have some Woodland, I'll have some JB Holmes in the tournaments, and hopefully he can shoot 62 on Sunday. But have a good one, guys. Yeah, as always, too, you can find Steve's stuff and Fantasy Golf Metrics stuff at FG Metrics on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at the Fantasy Grind, and always feel free to hit us up there. But other than that, have a good week, and we will talk to you again soon.
Good luck, guys.